right, UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. Biggest card of the year. I would say the biggest card in a while. It is a super fight. A lot of undefeated fighters. This is a real treat for all of the UFC fight fans. As far as the players, the risk takers. I feel like this is a tough one for some people. There's some dogs though that do stand out, but there's not a lot of super confident picks on this one, at least for me. But this is a good card overall. We're in for a treat for the rest of the year. We got Dan Hooker versus Sarukin. We got Peter Yan, Marab Divashvili. We got some bangers coming up for the year, but this is definitely the banger of the year. And without further ado, let's get right into this. All right, we're getting here into the men's lightweight division, the prelim opener. Vyacheslav Borshev versus Mateus Camilo. Now, Borshev, he's okay. He's an okay fighter. 33 years old. He's 8-6-1 pro record. I believe he's about 3-5-1 in the UFC, and pretty shit record. Training over there at Team Alpha Male. He has KO power. He does have some power in the hands. That's one thing I've noticed about him. But his takedown game is weak. His takedown defense game is weak. His grappling overall, decent clinch, I guess. But overall, he has no one has tested the grappling. Nobody, brother. Small frame though. Other than that, he has a decent chin, I guess. He's getting subbed and stuff like that. But on the other hand, oh, by the way, he's coming in at a plus 145 dog. I think he should be higher, to be honest. It's a good line. It's a really good line to catch Mateus Camilo at a minus 175. I think that's decent. I think he should be like a 2-1 favorite in this. But Mateus Camilo, 24 years old with a 9-3 pro record. He is 0-1 in the UFC, and that first debut that he came in with was versus Gabe Green, and he was doing good, and he just kind of put himself in a bad position. Ended up getting I want to say like a guillotine, got gillied up, and lost that debut. Gabe Green though, I feel like that loss is aged pretty well. He's done some good after that fight, so I take that with a grain of salt. The other thing about Mateus Camilo, he's a little bit low volume striker. As you can see, he's only putting out 1.5 essentially significant strikes landed per minute. He does pick his shots pretty wisely, I would say. Pretty explosive when they do happen. But yeah, he's young, a lot of room for improvement. I see him losing that debut, and he's definitely going back to the drawing board. So I think he's made a lot of improvements for this matchup. And I'm going to go Mateus Camilo by sub. I think he gets it back. I think Borshev just gets caught in the crosshairs here. And Camilo pulls off the sub. Like I said, I think he's just going to be looking better than he did in the debut. I bet you he's went back to the drawing board, improving the grappling, even though I think he already had pretty good grappling to start with. So I can see, him dominating Borshev there. And I think he's patient enough not to get into crazy exchanges with Borshev. And that's where Borshev's going to want this fight. Up on the feet, wild exchanges, just showing that grit. And Camilo's going to be smart enough to get this fight to the ground, pick his shots wisely. All right, Camilo by sub. All right, let's move on here. Baisnar Susarkayev versus Eric Makoniko. Susarkayev has a lot of hype. He's a minus 1,000 favorite. It'd be crazy if he lost, but I don't think he's gonna. He's 24 years old, 10-0 pro record. He's 1-0 in the UFC, training over there at Kill Cliff Fight Club. He's just an all-around prospect. He's shown his striking, he's shown his grappling abilities, especially in the Dana White's Contender Series. He showed that power with that knockout, and he showed some grappling game in there as well. 8 of his 10 fights have all been KOs. And I feel like the UFC wants to see him do good. So I feel like they're giving him a pretty decent matchup, with Eric Makoniko. A good lob here, Eric Makoniko coming at that plus 600 underdog. With he's 10-3-1 pro, 1-1 in the UFC. So Shorty got that win. Shorty got that loss in there. He had a close win over Cody Brundage. Yeah, that's a good win. It's not bad. Slightly outlanded him. He is overtraining out here in Phoenix at the MMA lab. And he's also a lower volume striker, I would say as well. You know, he's decent, but not doesn't throw a lot of volume. You could see one and a half strikes per minute. So Sakayev, you know, coming in at 4.5, you know, get a lot more volume out. Even this fight were to go to the big, but I'm on the hype train here. I'm riding that train. We're gonna go Susakayev by KO. Younger upcoming fighter here. Higher ceiling than the opponent, I think. I could be proved wrong, but you know, he's what, 11 years younger, looking better prospect, and he just has that power in him. He has straight KOs. And yeah, I see them tossing him in lob here. Susakayev. I'm not even gonna try the first name again. By KO. All right, let's move on to this next one. Angela Hill versus Fatima Klein. Angela overkill Hill with that 310, now 360 underdog price tag. Wow. Fatima Klein, huh? All right. Angela Hill, overkill Hill, 40 years old. She is 18-15 pro record, 13-15 inside the UFC. She's just getting it in at this point, surviving in that you know, she's not getting finished. She's putting up fights, you know. She has very respectable losses within that horrible record. Tabitha Ritchie joins in on it. Mackenzie Dern, Virna Jandiroba, Amanda Lemos, Tisha Pennington. You know, they've just all been running it on her. Everyone's been getting a turn on Overkill Hill over here. But she's given fights. She's training over there at Alliance MMA. And I think she's still improving her grappling, even though she's old enough to be my mother. She's improving on the grappling for sure. And she does really good. She has good boxing. She does good in the exchanges too. And you know, Fatima Klein, this is gonna be her chance to show off, you know, her grappling. But overall, Angela Overkill Hill, good ground defense, and she's very durable. She's able to take a beating. So we're gonna see what this goes. On the other hand, Fatima Klein coming in at a crazy minus 525 favorite. She is 25. 8-1 pro record. She's 2-1 inside the UFC. She did head kick the shit out of Melissa Martinez. Bad. Lost to Jasmine Jasudavicius. And her UFC debut, pretty good loss. You know, not gonna knock her for that one. She has some slick striking with 4 KOs in the career. And she showed a lot of heart in that Jasudavicius fight. She did in that third round. I think she came out at the beginning. And she showed she had that grit. She showed that she's willing to do what she needs to do to try to get wins, even though she didn't, you know, she came up short, but she's showing, you know, that heart. And she's going to need that messing around with Overkill over here. She's going to need that. You know, you want to put it down on someone who's been around the block. You got to give it your all. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not talking in that way, just, you know, UFC terms. But yeah, I'm going to go, I like that hefty underdog price tag, and I feel like Klein, yeah, she's on the hype train. I think she's really good. But if she can't get this fight to the ground and wet blanket Overkill Hill over here, she's going to be in for a striking battle where she's going to get outstruck. And I'm going to go Angela Overkill Hill by decision. You know, I see the value in the dog here. I see it. This is not a dog call. This is with very low confidence here. So keep that in mind. But I'm going with the dog here. I'm not afraid to use her as the pick. The experience is gonna play a big role, pivotal role in this. So she's willing to win the fight everywhere. She's willing to take it anywhere. She's wherever it goes. Angela Overkill Hill. She's gonna give it her all. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be the pick. Overkill Hill by decision. All right, let's move on. Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Mariscal. Now, this actually had me scratching my head. I've been back and forth on this. watching all the tape I fucking can, and yeah, this is a good one. I'm excited. I think I want to say this is gonna be the first real banger on the card here. The other ones, maybe the girls fight can be good banger, but I feel like that first couple are gonna be walkthroughs. But let's get into that already. Pat Sabatini coming in at the -130 favorite. Those odds could change by now, or -125 now. These odds can move around. We still got a Friday, but he's 35 years old, 20-5 pro record. He's 7-2 in the UFC. And the two losses that he does have are to Diego Lopez and Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson's he's good. Diego Lopez, we all know about him if you watch UFC. He is one of the best right now in this division. Almost everybody but Volk he's then took out almost. I think Evlaev, so it's a good loss right there to have on your record. He's a BJJ practitioner though, heavy in the grappling. He's always looking to get the fight to the ground. He's not putting out a lot of strikes. He's not really trying to strike. He wants to get to the ground and use that jiu-jitsu, roll around and catch you in a submission. He does have some good subs too on the record. Lucas Almeida, Jonathan Pierce, Jamal Emmers, and all those guys are, somewhat accoladed grapplers, so, he's training over there at Marquez MMA, really working, 12 total subs in the career. I really do like that. And he does have good wrestling, he can get the fight, takedowns, get on top, get that top control, and I really like that. Now, on the other hand, sitting at that plus 105 dog tag, we got Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal, 33 years old, 18-6 pro record. He's 5-0 in the UFC on a streak. He has a KO on Jack Jenkins, split decision win over Morgan Charrier. Not a bad split decision, I would say. Unanimous decision over Damon Jackson, who had beat Sabatini. But he's looking good. He's an overall young prospect, not too much younger than Sabatini, but he's looking good, high promise, good volume striker, and that's kind of how he gets some of his wins. It's just out volume the guy. He's not really putting them on their back a lot, going crazy. He's just out voluming them, getting decent control time, good clinch strikes. He's training over the Elevation Fight team. It's a pretty good gym. And he does well in the exchanges. That's one thing I have noticed. He does pretty good in the exchanges, and he has pretty good grappling defense. So we'll see how good though, because I think, Pat Sabatini's probably going to be the best grappler he's gone against. And this is the tricky part right here for the pick. I want to go Pat Sabatini, but I want to go Chepe Mariscal as well. And dude, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. I want to ride the hype train of Chepe. That's who I'm going to be rooting for. But my pick for the channel is going to be Pat Sabatini by decision. I think he's just going to get more submission looks. I think his grappling is just going to be better. Chepe Mariscal is going to want this fight standing up. He's going to really want this fight standing up, and Pat Sabatini is going to have to show off that slightly higher IQ he has. He's going to have to wait for that mistake from the younger guy and capitalize big time. And I just think he has a slight grappling advantage. Pat Sabatini by decision. All right, let's move on. Kyle Dawkins and Gerald Mir Shart. All right, now Kyle Dawkins, he's coming back into the UFC with a big win over Michel Pereira. Not that big of a win, but a good win. He had a shaky career at the beginning. I know he lost to some decent guys. Can't even remember who he lost to, but he lost to some decent guys in that first little run. Nothing too crazy. 32 years old, 16-4 pro record, 3-4 overall in the UFC. That's, again, back in the day, he's getting cooked. Training over that Martinez, BJJ. So yeah, he is a UFC BJJ practitioner. He went back to Cage Fury for a little bit after that loss, and now he's back in the UFC. Got off that win, so yeah, he's looking to come back and show his game. I don't think he's gonna be having to show the BJJ. I don't think he wants to show the BJJ in this fight. You know what I mean? Uh, but he does have a lot of submissions in the pro career. That's most of them. He has a questionable chin. Questionable. It's not really a bad chin, it's just questionable. But he can get the fight to the fence. He can get control time. But I'm ready to see how he faces against Gerald Meerschaert. Cal Dawkins is a pretty big favorite coming at the 500, minus 500. Gerald Meerschaert plus 350 dog right here. Now he's 37 years old. He's coming to the end of that time. 37 and 20 pro record, 12 and 12 in the UFC. So, you know, it's a 50-50 whether he's winning or losing. It's a 50-50. He could go pull it off. He could. Is it likely? But he could. Yeah. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to RDR, Brad Tavares, and Michael Ulinchuk. I don't know how to say his fucking name, but something like that. All decent guys. I don't know about the Michael Ulinchuk or whatever the fuck. But those other ones are pretty valid losses. I think losing to Brad Tavares is iffy. I would just say the RDR one, but even that has lost a little bit of its value now, you know. Solid boxing. I don't know if he's better than Kyle Dawkins. I don't know. He has pretty good boxing. Good blitzes, but he, you know, where I think he can excel the most is his grappling. If Kyle Dawkins tries to do something on the fence too long, get to the ground or something, or, you know, jump, I think this is where Gerald Meerschaert wants the fight. He wants to get that sub. That's his path to victory here. And you gotta watch out if the fight goes long. Gotta watch out. That's where Meerschaert, if he doesn't get finished, I feel like he gets dangerous, you know, later in those rounds. He could pull that stuff off. I was gonna go Gerald Meerschaert by sub. That's what I was gonna do. I think Kyle Dawkins is gonna be able to pull this one off. I think he's gonna be able to just slightly get a little bit more volume out, knees, elbows in the clinch, and I think he's gonna be able to pull this off and get a rhythm going in the UFC. And I'm gonna go Kyle Dawkins by decision. I don't see him finishing him, but you know, he could get the knockout. It's very live. It's Gerald Meerschaert. He's been knocked out plenty of times. But yeah, Kyle Dawkins by decision. Let's get on to the next one. All right, so this next fight, I'm excited for. It's gonna be a good one. Coming in at the women's flyweight division. Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Now, I just want to say real quick, right off the bat, Erin Blanchfield, that's my pick. That's going to be my pick. She's not doing all these interviews. She's not wearing fake eyelashes in the cage. She's not doing these long time interviews with Nina. She's in the goddamn gym thinking about being the UFC champion. That's, you know, I wouldn't be mad if they had her at like a 300 favorite, you know, coming in at the minus 265. Tracy Cortez at the plus 215. Now, Tracy Cortez beat her back in another league. It was like Invicta FC, something of that nature. And like a split decision, kind of just got the control time. I want to say Erin Blanchfield is like 19 years old. This is a minute ago. She's improved crazily. Erin Blanchfield, now she's 26. She's 13-2 pro record. She's 7-1 in the UFC though. Her one loss is to Manon Ferriot, who is a killer. Just put on a clinic, lost, but showed her skills against the champ, Valentina Shevchenko, who's fighting on this card as well. And everyone else she's beat good people. She's been going through this division. That's her one loss in the UFC, and then the only other loss she has is Tracy Cortez. She needs to get that back. She's training over there at Silver Fox BJJ. good blitz attacks. Her stand-up games is not as good as Tracy Cortez. I think that's where Tracy Cortez holds the advantage, even though it says that she has the higher strike. Erin Blanchfield at that 5.224 mark. But that's a lot of ground strikes, I believe, if they're counting those. And she's just going to be the overall better grappler. Tracy Cortez is an elite grappler as well. I just think Erin Blanchfield has been improving harder, been training harder. Tracy Cortez, on the other hand, she's 31, 12-2 pro record. She's 6-1 in the UFC. One lone loss to Thug Rose Namajunas, one of my favorite women's fighters of all time. So, you know, not a bad loss either. They both lost to very respectable competition. I could be wrong about Tracy Cortez. She could shock the whole world, you know. She has high-level wrestling. I think she needs to work on the BJJ a little bit more, though. She doesn't really get finishes either. So, Erin Blanchfield does. And I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield by decision. It's going to be the pick. She's going to get more control time, I think. I think she's just shown more improvement since the last meeting. She was young, you know, and if Tracy Cortez doesn't get the striking going and take advantage of this, I think it's going to be over for her. So, Erin Blanchfield by decision. All right. I do want to know Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. I just got news that it's canceled. It's not showing up on here, but he does have another opponent, Ethan Ewing. I think he had a little bit of LFA time. I do have this pulled up on my phone. This will be one time I do that. A little LFA time. Let's see. He got lights out fight promotion right here. 4-0. Got some knockouts, some good finishes. I'm going Malcolm Wellmaker on that one. That's going to be my pick. He's probably going to open up at like a 3-1 favorite. I haven't seen no odds for that yet, but just wanted to throw that in there. Little news. Not going to spend a lot of time on that one, but let's get into this next fight. Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez. Now, we got ourselves another banger here, where Gregory Rodriguez needs to show he needs a good win right here. Roman Kopylov coming in at that plus 150 dog. He's been right there for a little bit. Lines haven't moved too much on him. 33 years old, 14-4 pro record, 6-4 in the UFC. Coming off a loss to Paulo Costa. I actually called that loss. I think he was a favorite going into that fight, and I just didn't think he was ready. I don't think he's ready for this match either. He's training over there at the Ratty team. Tall, slick boxing. Good body kicks. Decent grappling. Most of the grappling I do see from him, you know, he's taking people down and just kind of laying on them. No looks. Not even powerful ground and pound. So I'll say decent grappling. That's what he has. He does have some KO power. 12 knockouts in the career. He has that good slick jab. Able to get it off on people. Able to get in them exchanges. Get some shots off. So I do like that. I didn't like his split decision versus Cesar Almeida though. I didn't like that. He was kind of wet blanketing him. He's not going to be able to do that to Gregory Rodriguez. There's no chance. So if he doesn't bring his A game and bring that stand up to another level, he's getting knocked out. But I'm gonna say, you know, he does have a good chin. Gregory Rodriguez at the minus 180 favorite, 33 years old as well, 17 pro record, 8-3 in the UFC, coming off a good win, KO win versus Jack Hermanson. Decent win. He was supposed to win that, but decent win. Before that, though, he's coming off a KO loss to Jared Cannonier. He is 11-4 for the KO record. So he's been chinned, unlike Kopylov. That's something to take in mind here. But he has good grappling, pretty elite grappling, good takedowns, good powerful boxing. You know, he's fast for his size. He's just the stronger guy overall here. But I think there's value in saying that Greg Rodriguez, he's going to win by decision here. I think the chin will hold up on Kopylov, but I think Gregory Rodriguez is gonna do him like how he did Cesar Almeida. He's going to just wet blanket him, get on top, ground and pound. You know, Roman Kopylov might shoot a takedown once he feels that overwhelming power. But we're going to go Gregory Rodriguez by decision. I think this is going to be a banger. I think this is going to be a bloody war. I think he will get tagged. He will get hit. Kopylov is live for a KO maybe, but I see it going Gregory Rodriguez's way. So we're going to go Gregory Rodriguez by decision. Let's get on to the next one. Now here, Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira in that middleweight division. It's going to be a good one. I was actually a little stuck on the pick, but I'm going to stick with the Bo Nickel side here, actually. I'm going to stick with the Bo Nickel side. Bo Nickel coming in at that minus 220 favorite. So he's the lines have closed for him a little bit. He's 29 years old, 7-1 pro record, 4-1 in the UFC. That's crazy. 8 fights, and he's already damn near, he almost made the main event. The main card. He was on there and got took off. I'm very glad that they replaced it with the BSD and Dariush fight. But he's an accoladed wrestler. I think he's like a 3-time D1 national champion. Pretty sure he's gotten some BJJ, some other grappling as well. Training over there, American Top Team. So you already know he's an elite wrestler. The thing is, though, is his last 2 performances I didn't like. I didn't like the loss versus RDR, but I didn't like the performance versus Paul Craig. He just looked scared to go bring a big dude to the ground, that new grappling. Now, is Vieira on the respectable level of Paul Craig? No, not at all. But he's a very respectable submission guy, BJJ guy. So we'll see. Bo Nickel has decent boxing, so we'll see how that pulls up on him. The thing is, though, the thing that I think is the deal breaker is that cardio. I really think that's going to be the deal breaker. And yeah, I think he gets some stuff done here. Rodolfo Vieira coming in at that plus 180 price tag as the underdog. 36 years old, 11-3 pro record. He's 6-3 in the UFC. Pretty respectable losses, though. Andre Petroski, Chris Curtis, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So, those are really good losses. And Andre Petroski's probably the worst one. He's training over there with the Fighting Nerds, though. And, they've been getting fraud checked. I don't think they will tonight, but yeah. Bad gas tank, though, when it's a heavy grappling match, which this will be. And I think we're going to see here, we're going to see a late finish. Bo Nickel by sub. I would say like a 3rd round sub, late 2nd round sub. Just has a better cardio, more dominant grappler here. So Bo Nickel by sub. Didn't want to spend too much time on that one. Pretty straightforward. I wasn't really on the fence for too long. Getting into this next one, another banger of a fight. Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint Denis. Now, man, yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Beneil Dariush coming in at that plus 155 dog, 36 years old, 23-6 pro record, 17-6 in the UFC, training over there at Kings MMA, and he has solid wins in the UFC, and he has very respectable losses in the UFC. Want to say he got knocked out by Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukin, 2 of the best lightweights in the game. So take that with what you will. He is coming off a win to Renato Show Me the Money Moicano, where pretty much just showed that the grappling's a little bit better, busted him up a little bit. He has good takedowns, though. I feel like he fights pretty well off the back foot. Pretty good striking. He has high level grappling. He's proven it over and over again. And I think he's been fighting at the highest level you can in the lightweight division almost for years now. He's been in the ring with the best of the best. And I think that's going to play a pivotal role here. On the other hand, Benoit Saint Denis at the minus 185 favorite. I like these odds. I think these odds are pretty good, honestly. Sometimes I don't disagree, obviously, but I like these odds. I really like where they're at. He has 2 respectable losses in the UFC. I want to say one's like Dustin Poirier or something like that. I could be way off, but he has 2 good losses in the UFC. High finish rate in the UFC as well. Heavy pressure, all aspects. He's gonna throw a 1-2, go for a takedown, kind of just get you up against the fence, and then go back to a 1-2-3. Might even end it with a kick. He's throwing crazy combinations, overwhelming his opponents. That's how he's getting the wins. Just fraud check Mauricio Rufy, and excellent wrestler. Yeah, he's a really good wrestler. So we'll see if his wrestling's better than Dariush's jiu-jitsu, if that's where he wants to fight. He's just a resilient fighter overall, though. Both of them are dogs, though. They're both ready to fight. And the thing about his loss, though, to Renato Moicano, like, yeah, he did lose. He was getting busted up, but if you watch the fight in that second round, he was looking good. You know, he was fighting Stevie Wonder in there. Now you couldn't see nothing, and he was looking pretty good. Honestly, he was, and the doctors ended up stopping the fight, so he lost. At the end of the day, he lost. But you know, I want people to think about that. You know, some might do the MMA math. Oh, Dariush beat Moicano, but Saint Denis couldn't. You know, nah. He just wore the damage really well in that fight, and the doctor stopped it. If that fight would have kept going, I don't care how much he would have seen. He would have put his lights out. Dariush, I think he would have ended up finishing him. It was, you know, or Moicano. So yeah, take that in mind. My pick, though, my pick is still gonna be Beneil Dariush. I like that underdog price tag. I think he might be a little spoiler here. Might crash the train here, the hype train. I like Saint Denis. I this is a very hard one to say that I'm betting on Dariush on this. That's just gonna be my pick. Just going to be my pick. I think the XP, though, in that ring is going to really show. I think he's going to be able to handle being overwhelmed. He's going to be able to fight off that back foot and get some good strikes. Benoit Saint Denis, if he wants to take it to the ground, I don't know if he wants to do that. And I just see this fight also, if they're standing up, Dariush just getting the better of the striking. You know, he doesn't have the higher landed per minute, but I don't know. I got my faith in Dariush. Low confident pick here. Um, Yeah, low confident pick, but Dariush by decision. That's what we're gonna go with right here. All right, let's move on. Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Leon Edwards coming in at that plus 155 dog, 34 years old, 22 and 5 pro record, 14 and 4 in the UFC. As of late, he's lost to Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady, which were two grapplers. Keep that in mind. Two grapplers. He is the former welterweight champ, though, where he head kicked, you know, the head kick heard around the world versus Kamaru Usman to take the belt in that late knockout where he was losing. Then they fought again. He got a good decision win. He got a good win over Kobe Covington. And then since then, lost to some good grapplers. Now he's going up against a striker. You know, Leon Edwards, he's an elite kickboxer. An elite kickboxer over there, kid boxer. Training at Renegade MMA. Um, he gets handled in the grappling. Let's just say that. He gets handled in the grappling. His defense, I want to say it's been getting better, but you know, not really. On the other hand, Carlos Prates is the matchup that he needs, the striker. 32 years old, 22 and 7 pro record, 5 and 1 in the UFC. And one thing I want to put out, Carlos Prates fought in LFA and the One Championship. One Championship is like right up there with Bellator PFL, and those are really respectable leagues. Crazy knockout power. He's also training over there at the Fighting Nerds. His only loss is to Ian Machado Gary, who is a prospect looking to get into title contention. So good loss. And if you watch that fight in that 5th round, Carlos Prates almost won. He almost had him out of there. Got him knocked down, got on top, was able to get you know, Ian Gary's really shown though over time that his grappling's pretty elite, pretty good. Not elite, but it's pretty good. So take that with what you will. He is a highlight guy though. He's here for the UFC mixtapes. He's dropping guys at a high level. That's what he's here for. He's ready to drop these. He's coming off that Geoff Neal knockout. We cashed in on that one. But yeah, he's coming in off that. So he's ready. He's ready. He has a mean left hand. I don't think Leon Edwards is ready to meet that left hand yet. So we're gonna go Carlos Prates by KO. He's just a more dynamic striker. I think he just has that uppercut. You know what I mean? That left hand hook. He's in there. Even though Leon Edwards is a great striker, he has a lot of weapons. He is really good. I just think he got that. He got his belt. He got his defenses, and it's a wrap. Carlos Prates is gonna send him to fighting Geoff Neal and guys like that. So Carlos Prates by KO. Let's get on to the next one. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. Man, if I got paid for every time I said this is gonna be a banger, man, I'd be rich right now. I wouldn't be doing wild parlays to pay for trips to the moon. All right. Sean Brady coming in at the minus 140 favorite, 32 years old, 18-1 pro record, 8-1 in the UFC. Right there at Renzo Gracie, Philly. Elite wrestling, elite grappling, forward boxing, just a forward fighter, good pressure. And he's at best when he's just pressing forward. That's when he looks the best. High level wins over Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Kelvin Gastelum. He had a good round in the Bilal fight before getting KO'd. He had a good round. He was doing really good. So he got knocked out, but I think he's a different beast here. He's a different beast here. Michael Morales at the plus 120 dog. 18-0 pro record. 6-0 in the UFC. Right there at Intram Gym. Coming off 2 solid KO wins. He knocked out Gilbert Burns, knocked out Neil Magny. And those are the 2 people. Those are the testers right there. If you finish those guys, you're going to be someone in this division. You're going to be walking around the welterweight division like Conor McGregor with your chest up. You're going to be walking around like that if you get wins over those guys. So now this is his real test. This is the big test for him to see that guy. One thing I want to point out, he grew up training judo and other grappling. So don't think Sean Brady's going to easily get this fight to the ground. Don't think that for one sec. We haven't seen him be tested in the UFC so far, but I think he's been waiting. I think he's been waiting for it. And he knows what he's up against here. So I know he's going back to it. He has that fast jab. If he can establish that jab, that's his key to success here. We're going to go Michael Morales by KO. I like the value there. I like the dog tag. I think he has the speed advantage. I think he's just hungry. He's getting up there. He's young, but he's also very smart. He's a very patient fighter. He's shown that. And that's his key to success here is being patient, managing that distance really well, getting ready for those level changes, establishing that jab, keep that pressure off Sean Brady, back him up, because that's how you're going to win against him. If you get him backing up and not going forward, that's how you get the wins. So we're going to go Michael Morales by KO. I'm on the hype train. I'm on the hype train. I think Sean Brady might underestimate that grappling, try and get him in, some underhooks against the cage. Next, Michael Morales gets a quick switch, throws him, gets on top, lands some nukes on him. They might stand up. He might let it stand up and then boom, drop him. Michael Morales by KO. All right, now let's get in to the championship fights. The super fights of the year. The 2 super fights of the year. First, we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang. Zhang Weili. Guys, this is a banger. Once again, pay me. This is a banger. Valentina Shevchenko coming in at that minus 130 price tag with the favorite. 25-4-1 in the UFC, or pro record. She's 14-3 in the UFC. Tiger Muay Thai is where she's training. Her record, if you look at her resume and everyone, it speaks for itself. She's beaten everybody in the division. Only a couple losses to Amanda Nunes twice and Alexa Grasso with a draw as well. Those are two greatest of all times right there. Valentina Shevchenko is an elite grappler. She's an elite striker. She's shown that against everybody. She's just elite in all areas. She's high IQ, patient. She is arguably one of the best UFC fighters of all time, especially in the women's. I think only above her right now is Amanda Nunes. But if Zhang Weili takes this on, pass that torch. Zhang Weili coming in at the plus 110. 36 years old, 26-3 pro record, 10-2 in the UFC. GOAT strawweight. I said it. KLF veteran, 12-0. Training over there at Beijing Black Tiger. She lost twice to Thug Rose. Again, that's one of my favorite fighters, so that's a loss that, that's what happens when you find Thug Rose here. Crazy speed for the size though. She's small, but she got a speed on her. She has a high fight IQ as well. And she stays composed when she's getting taken down, and I say that because that might matter in this fight. That might matter. But as much as I want to go Weili winning this, I'm going to be rooting for her. I'm going to be rooting for her. I think Valentina Shevchenko is going to take this one. I think she's going to be able to get her to the ground. I don't think she's going to be able to do much, but she's going to be able to get her to the ground and just kind of wet blanket her. I think this fight will go very similar to the Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz fight, where Jan Blachowicz, he did do good on the striking, but he realized if he kept going in it, things might get bad. And he just got to the ground and laid on top and got ground and pound. And I think Valentina Shevchenko, that's her key to success here. And I think that's going to be her game plan. I think she's going to execute it very well. Again, I'll be rooting for Zhang Weili. Valentina Shevchenko is going to be the pick for the channel. I might not bet on her. I might roll with that underdog price tag. But man, this is just a fight. This is a fight and a half right here. I'm really excited for this one. Valentina Shevchenko by decision. Now, here we are. This is the fight of the year. Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. The Australian. Is he from Australia, right? He's from Australia. Versus the Dagestani Russian. Man, this is gonna be a banger. I think the minus 300 is wide, and I'm going for Islam here. But I think it's a little wide. I'm not mad at anybody who picks Jack Della Maddalena. Islam Makhachev, coming up from the division, so we're gonna see how it all plays off. Jack Della Maddalena coming at that plus 225. He's 29 years old, 18-2 pro record, 8-0 in the UFC. Just obtained the belt. Great championship fight with Belal. Anyone who was saying Belal's a boring fighter, I think in that fight can X that out. That was a great fight. That was not boring at all. I was at the edge of my seat the whole time, standing up, clapping. It was an amazing fight. I did pick Belal to win that one. Didn't come out the way I thought. Jack Della Maddalena stole the show. Much respect to him. That's why I'm saying, they're tripping on that plus 240. As far as his climb to being a champ though, his all right wins. I'm not super impressed with the resume, and the more I look at Makhachev's, I'm not super impressed with his now that I look at it as much. We'll get into that here in a bit. But back to Jack Della Maddalena. And another thing, I think Belal and Burns are his best wins. Those are his best wins in the UFC, are Gilbert Burns and Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad had the belt for one day and got jacked. You know what I mean? No pun intended. But he also had a split decision win over Kevin Holland. I know Kevin Holland, doesn't look the best sometimes, but he looks good other times. And this was a good time. But Jack Della Maddalena, I didn't like that split decision win over him. You gotta be finishing Kevin Holland if you want to be a championship type guy. Other than that, elite boxing. He's probably one of the best boxers in the UFC. Good takedown defense. So from what he's shown, I know they say he has that certain fighting style. He puts the guard up, elbows into the shoulders. Kind of backs up. I know that he has that. He's battle tested. He's shown that's useful. But on the other hand, he's facing Islam Makhachev, who got that minus 300 price tag on him. 34 years old, 27-1 pro record, 16-1 in the UFC, 4 title defenses. Took the belt from Charles Oliveira, defended against Poirier, defended against Volkanovski back when he was beating up Dan Hooker and Arman Sarukian. Those are, elite fighters. Now Volkanovski's a featherweight. Ronaldo Moicano, late notice. I think Dustin Poirier, good win. So that's what I mean by more about the, short notice Volkanovski fights. The short notice Ronaldo Moicano fight, yeah, he walked through him, but better wins, I would say, in his division than Jack Della Maddalena, to be honest. But everyone knows here, Islam Makhachev, elite wrestling, check the grappling, sent him through 3 years to Dagestan. Everyone knows. I don't need to talk about his wrestling game. If you don't know, you shouldn't be fucking watching this channel. That simple. His striking's getting better. His striking is getting a little bit better. I think he is improving a lot on that, so I do like that. He should be looking good at the higher weight. I think he cuts a lot of weight to make lightweight. I think it's going to be like a Khamzat Chimaev situation where he's just looking good in the bigger weight class. He's looking surprisingly fast, maybe. Who knows what he's doing to himself to get down to the lightweight. I think he walks around at like 190. So, he's a big dude, so man, I know he's looking for that pound for pounds, but I know he's mad that Ilya got it. I know he wants it back. He's hungry for it. Just watch the stare down. Jack Della Maddalena's kind of swaying a little bit. Islam straight looking into his soul. And honestly, that's giving me the pick of Islam Makhachev here. Now, at that minus 300, that scares me just a little bit. I have faith in him, but I just don't like that minus 300 moving up in weight, going against it. I know he just got the belt. I know that, but he's a true welterweight. It's the biggest guy Islam's been in the ring with, lately. So it is scary. I just don't think JDM has seen the skill. I don't think he's seen the skill and the grappling of Islam Makhachev. I don't think he's ready. I think Islam's going to get the sub here. It's going to be my pick. Final answer. Lock it in. He has like an inch on him. 5'11 to 5'10. I don't think Jack Della Maddalena is going to weigh much more. They could be pretty even. I want to say they're going to be ounces off of each other. I think Islam's going to be big. He said he's taking creatine for the first time in his life. I think he's going to look massive in there, especially come fight day. So I'm excited to see this fight. What's going to happen after this? What if Jack Della Maddalena does win? What if he does win? What happens? Who does he fight? Does he fight Ilya? If Makhachev wins, does Ilya move up after, patting Patty the freaking Pimlet? Patty the Batty? A lot at stake for this fight. Man, this is just an amazing card, guys. And I'm so excited to be here to share with you and go over my picks and predictions. If you guys want my official plays, you guys can join the Discord. Go to my Instagram, join the link. I have juice reels on there as well, where you can pay $4.99 every week and get all of my picks, all of my plays, my straight bets, my two-man parlays, my degenerate, sick individual long shot parlays. You get all of that. Join the Juice Reels $4.99. If you like the beat that you heard at the beginning of this video, go ahead and message me, DM me, shoot me an email. We can work out a deal on the beats. I also make those. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Go hit that like button, subscribe, meet me in the comments if you disagree, agree. If you want to talk about the other cards, if you want to talk about life, if you need help, if you need someone, meet me in the comments. Don't slide in the DMs. Meet me in the comments, baby. Yeah.